Hello and welcome to episode 30 of the HamCorp training manual. In this episode, we obtain UV energy hatches, wetware, and even set up some Supreme rocket modules. Playing with bacteria has gotten me sick, so you may find that I sound a bit different. HamCorp doctors are hard at work developing a cure. Welcome back. I am actually going to make a cleaning maintenance hatch for my ECR. I could just build an ECR in the clean room, that's also totally valid and fine, but this is an excuse to finish a quest, so I'm going to make a cleaning one. And I'm gonna swap out the maintenance hatch on this ECR. So this one acts as if it's in a clean room because of the cleaning maintenance hatch. Now my first wetware printed circuit boards. Now like I said at the end of the last episode, there are two paths I want to explore. One is wetware processor mainframes, the UHV circuits, and the other is data modules. I think I'm gonna start with data modules, which needs a network switch, which needs enriched NaC trinium europium duranide ingots. This should be totally fine. The network switch, though, is something I thought I could build a while ago, but I actually couldn't until now. It allows me to combine computation from multiple HPCAs and send it all together to the research station. So my research per tick, or computation work units per tick, is now unbounded, basically. Crafting this thing is not an issue at all. I also need to set up a circuit assembler and an ECR inside of the sterile cleanroom to do some on-demand recipes. Once I have data modules, I think a lot of stuff actually opens up to me. We'll reconvene when I have some. It's a really simple setup. I have my two HPCAs with identical configurations, and they connect to the network switch, and the network switch transmits the output into the research station. That's it. And I can chain these so I can have another network switch with even more connections, and I can just keep adding computation if I wanted. Well, data modules are now done. Like I said, this unlocks a couple of things, 86 pages of things specifically. I'm gonna quickly go through all of these and just mention the most important things at the moment. The Supreme rocket module, wetware stuff, the upper tier UV components like the sensor and emitter and field gen, the Supreme plasma turbine, UHV parts, the exotic gas siphon, UV energy hatch and dynamo hatch and stuff, Mark III fusion, the DreamLink node, the chemical plant, the bulk ore processing array, the UV solar array, the compact assembly line, a better HPCA component, the Tier 3 elite fluid drilling rig, the rotary hearth furnace, the advanced synthesis plant, and a bunch of ASG components. So it's quite a lot of stuff. First things first though, UV energy hatch. Oh, hey, I forgot something with the network switch. I need HPCA bridge components. This allows it to connect the network switches. Without this, it's not going to work. This is a little annoying because it means I need to change my setup. This is 12 cooling provided and 12 cooling required, so I probably just have to swap out one of the computation generators. Which means instead of 96 CWU per tick, I will be providing 64. But luckily, that is exactly what I need for the UV energy hatch. Yep, now it works, but it's really slow. I probably need to make more HPCAs, to be honest. There's something weird happening here. I think it's kind of like a race condition between the research station and the network switch. It's like constantly stopping and starting, but I'm not losing progress and it works, so I'm not too worried about it. But I think it's because I'm providing exactly the computation that I need, maybe. Or this could happen at any computation. I'm not sure. It seems like, I don't know, if I had to guess, like, something is being processed before the other within a tick, so there's like some weird race condition. Anyway, once this is done, I will have UV energy hatches. The 4 amp and 16 amp UV energy hatches luckily don't need scans, they're just assembler recipes. But the first thing I'm going to upgrade with the UV energy hatch is the assembler, so that I can do UV recipes. After that, I could look into DreamLink nodes. I believe this is wireless power. It does need UHV circuits though, so actually, I guess I have to do that first. But anyway, there's also the advanced synthesis plant. This is a layered chemical reactor, kind of. So I need to do a layered setup for this. But it's used for further progression to make silicon carbide over bismuth telluride, tritelluride dust. But the coolest thing that is unlocked here is the chemical plant. And this, I believe I can make as soon as I free up the research station for another scan. This reduces chemical lines. If you played GTNH and you know about the QFT, this is like a baby QFT. So instead of a whole processing line, I just put in inputs and I get outputs. And it skips the whole processing line. I don't know if the processing lines are better than this. It might be different ratios, but it might also be the exact, inputs and outputs. I'm not sure. I might look into that actually, and if it is better to do the full line, I'll just leave the line. But if it's the same, then I'll replace lines with chemical plants. That said, this does have parallel hatches and chemical overclocks, so it's probably significantly faster to do it with this, so I might just switch everything anyway. Actually, thinking about it some more, and having said that out loud, I am definitely going to switch, because time is the only resource, especially in star technology. Anyway, I'll get that going in the background. In the meantime, I'm going to set up stem cells. In fact, I already did. Here's stem cells. I made a ton of stem cells. Now I can make neuroprocessing units, with which I can make wetware processors. And then we go up the chain through wetware processor assemblies, wetware processor supercomputers, and wetware processor mainframes. And I know I'm gonna need tons and tons of these, and the assembly line setup that I have is kind of jank and doesn't really work for mass production, so I think I'm just gonna make some dedicated assembly lines for the wetware processor mainframes and for the supercomputers. Those cannot clog because they're dedicated, so that'll help a lot, I think. One thing to note about the supercomputer though, I need living SMD transistors, and capacitors and resistors, inductor, diode. All of that needs polyimide. And there are two ways for me to get polyimide as far as I can tell. One is the full chemical line, polyamic acid, which comes from some very long named compounds, which is all craftable. It's all just a bunch of LCRs. Or bacteria synthesizer. The problem with this is it's a UIV recipe, so at some point, I'll be able to switch to this, and it's kind of really nice that I know this exists because I'm gonna want to switch to this. This is a very long chemical line. Here it is on processing lines 3. It's a whole bunch of stuff. Don't worry, I will be naming every single one of these. I know you guys want to hear me say the names. And I managed to fit it into 4 LCRs. I didn't really try to put it into fewer, but maybe I could. So it's a bit convoluted. And hard to explain, and I don't know if there's really a point to explaining. I'll just name all the compounds that are in here for fun. There's metaphenylene diamine, there's dimethyl maleate, there's benzo trichloride, there's methylamine, gamma butyrolactone, N-methyl-2-pyrrolidone, maleic anhydride, dimethyl succinate, 1,4-butane-diol, benzophenone, benzoyl chloride, and 3,3'4,4' benzophenone tetracarboxylic dianhydride dust. Oh, and polyamic acid, and liquid polyamide. This is really slow though, specifically the dimethyl maleate. It takes me 9.2 seconds for 500 liters, or millibuckets. That's really slow. This is at UV, by the way, and the reason is it's just a really slow recipe at UV. It is a UV recipe, so it just is slow. There's nothing I can do about it, besides like machine spam and overclocking. But to make the 4 amp UV energy hatch, I need polyamide. So I'm just gonna let this build up for a little bit while I chill. And probably also deal with my toluene shortage. I need toluene to process things here. And my toluene production is still primarily these DTs and this pyro. So it's not keeping up. I need to scale this up a bit more. I can start using the LFDs. I can also look into a better pyrolyzed machine, the thermal decomposition array. This should be doable. This is doable. Also looks a lot cooler. It has throughput boosting, so it should be quite a bit better than what I have right now. First batch of polyimide crafted. In fact, I can go straight to the living SMD components. It's a bit pricey, but I don't think there's anything strictly stopping me here. For one of the components, the inductor, I specifically need chalcopyrite, which I'm pretty sure I've just been electrolyzing, so I need to stop doing that. Anyway, now I can continue on with wetware. For the wetware processor assemblies, there are 2 recipes I can use. There's this one, the one with the advanced SMD components. This is totally fine, I can do this. But I kind of want to invest a little bit and do this better recipe with the living SMD components. The problem is, I need QRAM chips. And QRAM chips need QRAM wafers, which need silicon carbide over bismuth tritelluride dust. The issue with this is it's made in the advanced synthesis plant. So it's a layered automation. I'm going to use the same technique that I used for the other layered machine, but I have discovered that there is one issue with that automation. This setup does not like nested crafts. So if I have a layered product that goes in as the input of another layered product, this setup doesn't like that. I got around it when I was making the classic Stargate by just batching everything that I needed, but I can't really do that in this case. But luckily, this specific dust has no uses in any layered process, so it's safe for me to just set this up. But it is something I need to keep in mind for any time I add a new layered recipe. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to get around this, but I'll figure out a way. Anyway, I need to make the advanced synthesis plant, copy this automation over, and then we're good to go. Ooh, I didn't realize this until now, but the input and output hatches and buses have to go in specific spots. And actually, there's only one spot for inputs and only one spot for outputs. So because I'm going to be doing recipes that have both item and fluid inputs and item and fluid outputs, both of those hatches need to be dual hatches. And for the automation, I think that means I need to make a dual ME stocking input hatch and a dual ME output hatch. Luckily, this is easy to make. It needs the expanded ME stocking inputs, which are UV recipes, but I can do this. And I also need expanded ME input hatches and buses. These I could have even done a tier ago, actually. I just never felt the need. So that's these. And I made 4 of each because I made 4 ASPs. And I'm going to try and parallelize because I think they're going to be pretty slow. Identical setup to what I have for the LRM. It's a little less spaghetti, which is nice. But the pattern sizes are 256 times the base size, because that's how many parallels I have in total with 4 machines, all doing 64 parallels. So I will only be doing things in big batches, which is fine, and probably a good thing. One little issue, I need borax. And to make borax, I could do this with like fancy processing of rock salt and salt, but I don't want to. So instead, I'm gonna do this chemline reduction thing and start using up all that bisulfate I made by mistake. And I'm just gonna set up a chemical plant for this recipe and just do it on demand. So let's set up the first chemical plant. This one's on demand, so it's going in the on-demand building. Request has been made. Hopefully this works. Looks good. I did have to upgrade to 16 amp UV, but looks good. Got the first layered chemical dust. Cool. Now that that's done, back to work getting these QRAMs. And that is the final wetware circuit, the mainframe. With this, I am currently aware of 3 new things that have been unlocked. First of all, the Dreamlink stuff I talked about, but actually, I don't really feel the need to make this yet. It will be required eventually after UEV, but I may put this off a little bit because I'm a little more interested in Mark III Fusion. Besides that, I can also make the rotary hearth furnace. To be honest, I don't feel the need yet, but I think I will pretty soon. This is the EBF, but with parallels. It's better than the HIFs, which have throughput boosting, but honestly these have been fast enough for basically everything. EBFing is somehow never my bottleneck, so once it starts to be my bottleneck again, I'll make the rotary hearth furnace, probably leave these in place and just add them over here or something. But for right now, I'm a bit more interested in Mark III Fusion. I'm gonna need a lot of these because these unlock neutronium, and even the quest says I will need gigantic amounts of this. And I can see why. It's used for making these chips in the form of liquid neutronium. It's used for making the next tier of silicon boules. That uses neutronium. It's used for making ruthenium, tritium, americium neutronate ingots, which are used for Xaloy coils. It's used for making UHV machine hulls, so that's a big one. And it's used for making stellarium, the next superconductor material. It's used for making gravistars, the next quantum star variant. So neutronium is going to be used everywhere. So I'm going to make some Mark III fusion reactors. And by some, I mean a lot. I'm probably going to make... I don't know, maybe I'll leave that as a surprise. Let's see how many I decide to make. The scan for the controller is of course a Mark II controller. Assembly line recipe is, I guess, analogous to the Mark II one. It just uses the most recent upgraded materials I have access to. The Mark III casings are also kind of the same thing. It's just an upgraded version of the Mark II casings, essentially. I also need reinforced fusion glass now, so it's a step up from fusion glass. Need ZPM emitters. Once I have some neutronium, I can even upgrade my Tier 3 neutron reflector casings to Tier 4. That'll help a little bit by doubling the processing speed. But this needs UV field gens, which need gravistars, so kind of indirectly it needs neutronium in the first place. But that is a pretty immediate upgrade I can make as soon as I make Mark III fusion, pretty much. Upgrading my HIFs to 16 amps of UV was an idea. Wow, that's crazy. That is actually crazy. I think I'm gonna power fail soon. Anyway, I just want to mention that I've set up sorbitol hypergolic fuel. It's actually pretty simple. Fuel is made in a mixer with sorbitol, which I get from bacteria, and ammonia borane. Ammonia borane is basically made in this ECR that I put here, and this mixer makes the actual sorbitol. There's an extraction machine that makes tungsten disulfide, which is required by the Supreme rocket module. It's basically lubricant, or it's the equivalent of lubricant. You just need to supply a small amount every hour. And I have a bulk blast chiller here to make something that gets mixed in the large mixing vessel. That something being dioxygen difluoride. This is a booster. It's just made of oxygen and fluorine. So it's very simple, very easy to set up and make. And I don't make it fast enough because I think I just genuinely don't have enough sorbitol per second. So I need to scale up my bacteria stuff. But this makes a lot of power. 4 million EU per tick per rocket module. And there's 8 of them. Plus the 20% from the distilled water. I should probably also look into deionized water because that ups the boost to 40%. So it's like an extra fifth of what I make. I also made these 2 dedicated sets of 4 assembly lines for the wetware stuff, and I think that has helped a lot with things being clogged and just being able to craft stuff. Yeah, besides that, I've just been crafting fusion parts in the background. They should be done soon. As I foreshadowed, definitely intentionally, blasting has become a bottleneck, so the rotary hearth furnace needs to appear. I would really like to have neutronium passive before then though, so I think I'm just gonna lock in and finish making these fusion reactors. I have them crafting as we speak. I will set these up in the next episode. And then we'll make the rotary hearth furnace and continue maybe into UHV. Thank you for watching this episode of the HamCorp Training Manual. In the next episode, we will set up some rotary hearth furnaces and more importantly, get our hands on our first neutronium, allowing us to enter UHV. I will be unavailable to record training manual episodes over the coming weekend, so expect the next episode to be a little while. See you next time.